So excited about the series that we just kicked off last week. I believe it's going to be one of the most transformational series that God has ever done since we began Reach Church 8 years ago. He is going to begin to speak in our lives about today mattering. That's what the whole series is called, Today Matters. We saw it on the screen just a minute ago. Today is the day that the Lord has made. Today is the day. He didn't say tomorrow's the day, because he hadn't made it yet. He didn't say 3 months from now when your promotion's up. He didn't say that. He didn't say 6 months from now when you graduate. He didn't say that's the day. He said today is the day that the Lord has made. We need to learn how to embrace today, how to live today to the fullest. And he goes on to tell us, so I choose to rejoice, which means to be full of joy, and to be glad, which means to celebrate. So today, I'm going to choose to be full of the joy of the Lord. Why? Because it's the number one thing the devil's trying to steal from you is the joy of the Lord. Why is that? Because the joy of the Lord is our strength. He's trying to sap your strength out of you. And the way he's doing it is he's getting you to worry about tomorrow. He's getting you to freak out about tomorrow. There is more worry. Studies show there is more worry and more stress in our nation today, especially in America today, than during the Great Depression. That's insane. That's craziness. What are we allowing to mess us up like this? It's because the world's become so connected through whether it be social media or TV, the internet, whatever it is. And now instead of you knowing what's going on down in your neighborhood, you know what's going on in every neighborhood of 350 million people. And you're worrying about stuff that you can't do nothing about. This is another study. This is crazy. Another study shows that over 90% of things people worry about never happen. Over 90%. You know what that is? It's the devil tricking you. He's trying to get you to worry about what's not going to happen. You think you're worried about what's going to happen, but the truth is he's tricking you into worrying about what's not even going to happen. The devil does a great job at two things when it comes to thoughts. He either plants just straight up cold, evil thoughts in our mind, thoughts that we know ain't got no business being in our mind, that we don't want no part of. He's tempting us. He's trying to torment us. All those things. Those are real easy to see. Usually, if we got our heads screwed on even half straight, we can see that stuff coming. But then there's this other thought the Bible talks about. Idle thoughts. You ever just let your car idle? It just sits there, just hums real low, about 1,000 RPMs. But then he comes in there and he just revs you up a little bit. Spins you up a little bit. He plants an idle thought that you may not think is that big of a deal. Maybe it's a thought about whether your kids are going to grow up and serve God or not. Maybe it's a thought about your checkbook. Maybe it's a thought about your security at your workplace. Maybe it's a thought about all the schoolwork that's piled up on you. Maybe it's a thought about the bills and the debt that you got piled up behind you. Maybe whatever that, he just brings that idle thought in. And here's the way that idle thought starts to go, is he starts to spin it, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, in your mind, 2 years from now, you are so broke that you lose everything, and you end up being homeless after you lived in your car for 6 months and you got no teeth left. And you're actually fine. You're living in a home, you got a car, and you got all your teeth right now. But he'll spin it up and make you think. It's like, the old school washing machines. We got blessed. Somebody blessed us with these new school washing machines a couple years ago. And it ain't got one of those little hickam and jigger bobbers in the center of the washing machine. You know what I'm talking about, those things that stick up and twist, right? Yeah, I'm like, where's that little hickam and jigger bobber thing? Where's that thing at? Like, this don't look right. I just throw everything in there and somehow it's going to get washed. Like, I think that thing was important. Though, I also think that thing is the thing that was eating my socks all these years too. I was so convinced one time that thing was the thing eating my socks. One time popped the cap off of it, saw a bolt. I got the bolt out. I took the whole thing off, and I'm thinking I'm going to find 1,000 socks. And there was none. And I thought, this thing's got enzymes. It breaks the socks down and digests them. So I went to Lowe's, because then I couldn't figure out how to put it back on. It wouldn't go all the way down. I was like, what's wrong with this thing? So I went to Lowe's. I'm like, hey, what is this? And they're like, that's an agitator. I'm like, you're dang right it is. That's what this thing is called? And they said, yeah. I was like, it's agitating the fire out of me. But that agitator was there to do what? It was there to agitate your clothes. It was agitate the mess out of your clothes. And the devil's here to agitate the mess out of you with worry, with stress, with anxiety. You look at those cycles, those old school washing machines, you know. First, they get soaked. And then the agitator starts, the washing part starts, and it's doing all that to get them. And then what comes last? The last thing is the spin cycle. You know what the devil's amazing at? Is getting you in the spin cycle. Taking a little idle thought and spinning it and spinning it and spinning it to where before you understand even what's going on, you done made a mountain out of a molehill, and the mountain doesn't even exist. The molehill might not even exist. You got a hypothetical molehill that you have made into literally the Appalachian Mountains. When Jesus has called us to cast the mountains out of our way. And the devil's got us building empires of mountains. And you get stuck in that spin cycle. After first service, by the way, I'm telling you, I got a lot to live up. First service came hype. Some dude was in the back with reach painted across his face like it was a football game. And he had one of those signs you hold up. He didn't have the John 3:16 sign, but he had a sign that said, today matters on one side and amen on the other. He's a young dude. He's a really cool dude. But he came to me afterwards and he said to me, hey, I repair appliances for a living. I was like, oh, that's cool. He said, you want to know something? He said, do you know what the spin cycle is for? And I'm like, no, what? He goes, it's to drain everything. The spin cycle the devil's got you is just to drain your energy, to drain your time, to drain your joy, to drain your hope, to drain your faith. Because here's what worry does. Worry leads to fear. And fear is the antithesis of faith. Fear and faith can't coexist in the same habitat. So when we let fear in, we're actually driving faith out. And fear, it leads then to doubt. Then we doubt everything. And Jesus, he taught us something really good. He said that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, this tiny, tiny little speck of faith. And he also says that everybody's been given at least a measure of faith. So I believe we probably all at least got a mustard seed. If you got faith as small as a mustard seed, and this is what he says, with no doubt, then you can do the impossible. So in other words, if you can get doubt out, you can get fear out, you can get worry out, you just need that tiny little bit of faith to move mountains. But if you don't get doubt out, then that means you got to have a ton of faith to be able to overcome it. So I would rather work on both at the same time. Increasing my faith while decreasing my worry, my stress, my doubts, my fears. Are you hearing me? Because it doesn't lead to anything good. I'm going to show you. Ready? This is a study done by Princeton. Princeton University shows that 1 day of worry, which releases, by the way, when you worry, it releases a hormone called cortisol. They call it the stress hormone. 1 day of worry equivalates, listen to this, is equivalent to this, to 1 full night of sleep loss. I used to do these lock-ins with teenagers when I was a youth pastor. We'd literally get 500-600 kids into the building and lock the doors. It was the stupidest idea ever, but it was really fun. And we'd stay up all night long, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. We partied with Jesus. The next day, nobody wanted to live anymore. Like the next day, all the leaders that were there were like, don't ever ask me to do that again. I'm like, all right, look, we got one coming up in 3 months. I'll leave you alone until then. You ever lose a full night of sleep? It's craziness. Look what it also does. causes damaging loss of brain mass. In other words, you keep stressing, you keep worrying, then we're going to end up like the dinosaurs. Have little pea brains. Look at this next one. It can cause you up to 13 points loss off of IQ. No wonder why we act stupid when we're tired. Seriously. Am I the only one? I know I'm not the only one. It causes memory loss, and if gone unchecked, permanent brain damage. Talk to me. Somebody say, what? Yeah, seriously. That's what worry does. The Bible says worry can't add one day to your life, but it surely can take some days away. Worry doesn't do us any good. The beautiful thing is Jesus told us about this thousands of years ago. This is amazing. The one thing plaguing our society today more than anything else, and Jesus already knew it was coming, and 2,000 years ago, he wrote the script for the antidote. But we can't see it sometimes because we're stuck in the spin cycle. This is what the devil's got us doing. Oh, I'm a little short on my check this month, and my car, the engine was making a ticking noise, and I panicked, and I took it in, and I traded it in, which is the stupidest thing to do. If you're a car salesman, don't get mad at me. But if you trade your car and you lose tons of value on your car, and they usually hike up the price of the other one, so the margin goes the opposite way it should for you, and then you panic, you trade it in, you get a payment you can't afford, and the next thing you know, you're strapped week to week, month to month, and you start missing some stuff, then your credit starts going down the drain, and then again, here you go, and about 3 months from now, in your brain, you're going to be homeless and toothless. And the devil's just spinning you up. He's just spinning you around like, I'm getting dizzy. I can't keep doing that, okay? I remember when I was a kid, we had this little amusement park. In Ohio, there's like the best amusement park literally ever called Cedar Point. People come from all over the world to go to it. They always have the biggest, fastest roller coasters every year. They guarantee it. But then there was this little one for the ghetto boys like me called Coney Island. And it was not the biggest, fastest ones. It was like the scariest, most unsafe ones ever. And I remember I was there, I was probably 10 or 11 years old. It was hot out, humid, standing in line. You know what it's like, you go, and you're standing in line, this is what you do at an amusement park. For like 80% of the time you're in an amusement park. It's the stupidest idea I've ever done. And then I'm going to this ride, my brother's taking me, and it's called the Hell Hole. Now, I wasn't a Christian at the time, but I did believe like in God, but I wasn't like a Christian, but I just thought like, that don't sound right. I don't know what this is, but it don't sound right. And there was just one door to it, like one single door, like the front door of a house. And it was this big, huge, really tall concrete cylinder. And they open the door, and everybody files in a single line into this thing. And then they tell you, wrap around the cylinder and stand with your back against the wall. I don't quite know what's about to happen. But I'm starting to, I wasn't a physics major, but I'm starting to kind of put two and two together. I think this thing's about to spin. My fear was that it had an agitator in the center, and I'm going to get caught in it and lost forever. And all of a sudden, that thing started to spin. And then spin faster, and then spin faster, and I'm like, your stomach just goes down to your butt, and you just can't, you literally can't, like your mouth is watering, not in a good way. And all of a sudden, it defies gravity, and I'm stuck to the wall. Now, for a moment, I got excited, because like one of my favorite superheroes was Spider-Man. I was like, man, I'm like Spider-Man. And then the floor started to drop out of this thing. I was like, where's the floor going? And then it hit me, hell ho. They're opening the gates of hell. Ah! I'm getting out of here. And I had this brilliant idea that I was going to turn around onto my belly in mid-spin and climb out of there like Spider-Man. And I tried. This is a true story. I tried to flip around, and I was like, and I'm holding on to my hands. And then I'm trying to peel my back off of it. I came out of there broke up. My neck hurt, my back, I never got turned around. Never got turned around. Just got dizzy and sick, felt nauseated the rest of the day. The hellhole. Dang right, that's a good name for that thing. But that's what the devil loves to do. Gets us stuck in that spin cycle. But Jesus gave the antidote. You ready for it? It's profound. It's like the greatest revelation ever. It's a little complicated in the beginning, but it smooths out in the end. Are you ready for it? You got to really be ready for this. Are you ready? Greatest revelation ever discovered. Here you go. Jesus' words. Here they are. Don't worry. Here's my antidote for worriers. Hey, don't worry. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be sophisticated. Sometimes the most simple things in life are the most beautiful things in life. And Jesus gave us a beautiful teaching on how to overcome all of these thoughts, all these fears, all this anxiety, all this brain loss, sleepless nights. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, he said, so don't worry. Everybody say it? Don't worry. Next two words should have been, some of y'all thought Bob Marley wrote this. No, this is Jesus. So don't worry. Don't worry. He's like, hey, don't worry. Hey, don't worry. But, no, don't worry. Don't worry. Calm down. Don't worry about tomorrow. You know how many people hate Mondays? They call it miserable Monday. You know why you hate Monday? Because you get stressed out about Monday on Sunday. Seriously. You spin yourself all up, or you let the enemy do it. You get all spun up about Monday, and Monday ain't even here yet. What would happen tomorrow morning if you woke up out of bed and the very first thing that came out of your mouth is, today is the day that the Lord has made. And I am going to choose to rejoice and be glad. I don't care what comes down the pipe. I don't care what happens, who says what. Today is God's day that he has given me as a gift, and I'm going to use it to the fullest. I'm going to enjoy it to the maximum. So don't worry about tomorrow. Look at it, he goes on to say, for tomorrow will bring, it's guaranteed, it will bring its own worries. Today's trouble, it's enough for today. Today's trouble is enough for today. But that's what happens. We do have trouble. We live in a broken world. It's a broken system. There's all kinds of craziness and chaos happening all around us. Today has enough trouble to focus on. Just focus on today, because you're focusing on trouble and worries and fears and all kinds of anxiety about stuff that has not yet even happened yet. You just started school and you're already worried about your midterms. You just started a job and you're already worried about getting fired. You're like, I know I'm going to be the first one laid off. I was the last one hired. Why wouldn't they? Well, I mean, how do you know they're not going to hire more people after you? And if you do what God says and you work hard as you would work under the Lord himself, you probably won't ever get fired. You'll just keep getting promoted. Today's trouble is enough for today. So just focus on today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Look at Jesus says right before this. This is beautiful, because we look at this and we're like, okay, that sounds good. But how do I do that? How do I keep myself from worrying? And I love Jesus because he actually taught us the solution before he talked about the problem. The verse before it, he says this. Everybody say it together. Seek the kingdom of God above all else. Don't seek this world above all else. Don't seek happiness above all else. Don't seek solutions that are found in books above all else. Seek the kingdom of God above all else. And, next two words, live righteously. Now, some people get all freaked out. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. That mean I got to live perfect? No, that's not what it means. It means live right. That's all it means. Righteousness means to be in the right standing of God. Just live right. Just do your best every day. Remember we talked about last series, just making progress. That's what God is looking for. He's looking for progress. Live right and seek the kingdom of God. And watch this now. And God will. It's a promise. You do these two things, you're going to get this. And what is this? He will give you everything you need. See, I think sometimes we get all spun up because we're not worried about sometimes what we need. We're worried about what we want. Are you hearing that? He's promising you. He will give you. He will take care of you. He said, look at the birds of the air. Look how God takes care of them in every season. Look at the lilies of the field. Look how beautifully he dressed them. Solomon in all of his glory was never as beautiful as these lilies in the field. He says, and yet you are the greatest creation that God has ever made. Don't you think for a moment that he would take so much better care of you than he would the flowers of the field and the birds of the air? God's got you. And he's telling you how to avoid, how to put a juke move on worry. And that's seeking the kingdom of God and live righteously. You ready for number 2? This is where we really get into like the meat, okay? It's like the next level stuff. Are y'all ready for it? Get ready for it. You ready? Number 2 is coming. Here it comes. Don't worry. Jesus got one plan for this whole thing. Don't worry. Philippians 4, 6 through 7. Everybody say it? Don't worry. And then he says, about anything. Don't worry about your bank account. Don't worry about your job. Don't worry about your kids. Don't worry. He tells us that worry can't add a day to our life. Don't worry about it. Doesn't say doesn't think about it, doesn't meditate on it, doesn't pray for it. He doesn't say that. He just says don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything. Oh, so you messed up. You stumbled in your faith. You know what the devil does? He comes in and makes you feel guilty and shameful. He brings worry. Maybe you won't be accepted. Maybe you won't be forgiven by God, or maybe Christians will judge you and you won't be accepted back in your church family. Maybe this, maybe that. You've been gone for a long time. You've missed a couple weeks or a couple months even, and I don't know how to get plugged back in. I used to be. Don't worry. Just do it. Don't worry. Just do the right thing. Don't worry about anything else. Because no man can judge you. Jesus himself said he didn't come to judge you. He came to save you. So don't worry about anything. And then he gives us the antidote after this. You ready for that? Instead, how about this? Pray. Oh my goodness, could you imagine if every moment of worry came upon our life and you just stopped in your tracks and you just said, I ain't going to do it. I'm just going to pray. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm just going to pray about this. Could you imagine what would happen in your life if you just did it, just said, you know what? No, I bind it in the name of Jesus. I'm not going to let that worry creep up on me. I'm just going to pray about everything. I'm not going to worry about anything. Instead, I'm going to pray about everything. Next word is tell. Tell God what you need. Tell him. That sounds like some old school church. Tell him. Tell God what you need. Tell him today what you need. I woke up this morning early to pray for today, and oh man, I had a moment. It wasn't a good moment. I'm just going to be real honest with you. I have no idea why I'm going to be honest with you, only because I was honest with first service spontaneously, so I have to tell you. I had this really, really dumb moment. I started to pray, and I had one of those like super righteous prayers come up out of me. I don't know if y'all ever had one of these, but it's like where you start getting real holy and you start like trying to make a poem out of your prayer. Like you think God's going to like it better if it sounds better to man. I was like, God, I just love you. I thank you that you have washed me as white as snow. You have saved me from myself. My sins once stacked as high as the mountains. My actions were like the mud of the, and then I lost like, what mud of the what? What sounds good? What? The true story, I swear to you. And I caught myself. I was like, Oh, God, you know that's a bunch of nonsense. I don't even talk like that. Forgive me for being an idiot just now. Let me just tell you, I love you, Lord. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for doing what you did for me. I want to talk to you like I know how to talk, and I'm just going to thank him for all he has done. So we want to not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need. Thank you for what he's done. So pray, tell, thank. You know what all this leads to? The one before that and this one here, there was 2 things in the last one, 3 things right here. You know what all this really means? It's just go to God. That's all Jesus is really telling us. Hey, instead of worry, just run to your Father. Instead of worry, just let it come out of your mouth. And why does it need to come out of your mouth? Think about when the Roman centurion, he was a soldier, a high-ranking soldier. He came to Jesus and said, my servant is sick, and I need you to come so you can pray and you can heal him. And Jesus said, okay, I'll come. And he said, no, I don't even need you to come. I don't even need you to walk in the house. All I need you to do is speak the word, and he will be healed. And Jesus was like, he turned around to his crew. He was like, yo, I'm telling y'all straight up. No, he might not talk like that, but he said, I'm telling you, I haven't seen faith anywhere in the earth like this man's faith. You know why? Because here's the power of speaking the word. To speak the word, you got to read the word, which means it engages your eyesight. So you start to really create your own God's version of a beautiful spin cycle. And it's going like this. You see it with your eyes. It processes with your brain. It sinks down into your heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Once you speak it out, your ears hear it. So you're wrapping it back in. It's going back in your brain, back down to your heart. And then the cycle just keeps going. So instead of the devil spitting you up like this, God's unwinding all the tightness that the devil put in your life with the stress and the anxiety and the fear and the worry, because the word of God is going forth and it's coming back in, and you just keep repeating it over and over again. And once you do that, then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything that we can understand. His peace, this is so beautiful, it will guard your hearts and your minds. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. We got to guard the heart. Scripture says, above all else, guard your heart. How do we guard our heart? With the peace of God. How do we get the peace of God? By praying, telling, and thanking him. And then it's going to guard your mind. Why? You got to guard your mind because your mind is a battlefield of spiritual warfare. So you got to guard your mind as you live in Christ Jesus. I got one last thing for you. Here it comes right here. There's only 2 things that can rob you of today. You want to know they are? 2 things. 2 things that could rob you of today. And here they are. It is the worry, the fear, and the anxiety of yesterday and tomorrow. The only 2 things that can rob you of today is your guilt, shame, and pain of yesterday, and your worry, fear, and anxiety of tomorrow. Don't let the devil do it. Don't let yourself do it. Let God have his way with you by you confessing with your mouth the word of the living God over your day and declaring what that day will look like, and watch and see what God will do. Do you believe that? Can we give Jesus one big thank you for his word?